When that train derailed in East Palestine, it wasn't because Trump deregulated the brakes. These aren't news stories. They're storylines pumped into your bubble. 4, always be aware that once the news became a profit division of media companies, they stopped being in the news business and are now in the audience stroking business. The goal is no longer to inform opinions, it's to reinforce them. 3, if your news outlet consistently reduces everything that happens in the world to who the President of America is, get rid of it. It's just thoughtless, reflexive team politics.
Bill Maher has recently been openly criticizing the mainstream media, accusing many large news networks of turning ordinary stories into massive national emergencies. According to him, in today's media environment, some channels present even small events as non-stop breaking news, just to attract attention and keep viewers watching. Critics often point to networks like CNN and MSNBC as examples of outlets that sometimes dramatize situations to increase ratings and online engagement. Maher, who is known for speaking very directly about political issues, argues that this constant sense of urgency can create a distorted picture of reality for audiences. In his view, the problem is not only political disagreement, but also the way stories are framed, especially when they involve Donald Trump or the Republican Party. He believes that coverage of these topics can sometimes feel more dramatic and emotional than balanced and factual.
Reported this year that the U.S. was on track for nearly a 300% increase in measles cases. 300%? Wow, that sounds like it could be millions. It was 35, because they just want to manipulate you into clicking. Look, I have 10 fingers. You want to see me suddenly have 80% less? Okay. 5, never trust the initial reports. The media cares way more about being first than being right. They love a scoop, but it's a scoop of because it always turns out to be wrong.
Maher also questions what the media often calls a major scoop. He suggests that many stories first presented as shocking revelations later turn out to be incomplete or exaggerated. When people observe mainstream media coverage closely over time, they may begin to notice a pattern where speed and drama sometimes replace careful reporting. Negative headlines about Donald Trump or the Republican Party tend to spread extremely fast across television, websites, and social media. Within minutes, the same story appears everywhere, often repeated by commentators who may not yet have the full context. In the race to break news first, important details and background information can sometimes be missed. Maher believes this style of reporting can damage the credibility of journalism because audiences begin to feel that stories are stretched or presented in a selective way. Over time, this can lead to growing mistrust among viewers.
You have to care about the truth. The media doesn't care about it because they know you don't care, that you just want to hear your side. So at some point, you need to take a step back, look around, and be really honest. Are you actually as your news feed tells you are? Are you miserable? Some people are, and we should help them. Are you destitute? Some people are. We should help them. But most people who take the subway get to work alive. Most don't fall out of a plane with a missing.
According to Maher, this situation reflects a deeper issue in the way modern media works. Today's news cycle moves very quickly, and reporters often feel pressure to release information immediately rather than waiting until every fact is confirmed. At the same time, audience behavior also plays an important role. Many viewers prefer news that supports their existing beliefs instead of information that challenges their opinions. Because of this demand, some networks may shape their reporting in ways that match what their audience already expects to hear. This creates a cycle where the audience expects a certain narrative and the media continues to provide it. People return to these channels not only to learn about current events, but also to feel reassured that their viewpoints are correct. In such an environment, balanced reporting and thoughtful analysis can slowly be replaced by emotional commentary and strong opinions.
Absolutely blow up the world on day 1 of term 2. He's a dangerous, erratic, insane, awful person, and I'd love to help him get not elected. But he didn't actually start World War III last time, or nuke a hurricane, or trade Puerto Rico for Greenland. Sure, sure, the sequel is usually worse, but until he does, I'm gonna live my life, and not the one the media wants me to live, hating half the country and my pants 24/7. Is the sky really falling? I don't know, maybe. And maybe it's just the door from above.
Maher also discusses the concerns that many people on the political left have about the possibility of Donald Trump returning to power. For some individuals, the worry goes beyond domestic politics and includes fears about global stability. In certain media discussions, Trump's foreign policy actions are sometimes portrayed as steps that could push the world closer to a major international conflict. These warnings can create a strong sense of fear among viewers who follow this coverage regularly. However, Maher argues that this perspective may ignore another side of Trump's political approach. He suggests that Trump often treats international politics more like a business negotiation than a traditional political strategy. Instead of focusing purely on ideology, Trump has frequently relied on pressure, leverage, and deal-making to achieve results. Maher's broader message is that fear-driven narratives can sometimes move people away from reality. He encourages viewers to listen to different perspectives and step outside political echo chambers.
The media to admit that they blew the whole thing way out of proportion, because as always with media these days, they don't cover what's most important, just what's most fun to watch. There are 15.2 million college students in the U.S., and 2,300 have been arrested. That's 1/67th of 1%, and half of the ones in New York weren't even students. But we were given the false impression that these protesters are the voice of their generation, having found a cause for which they were willing to go to the tents and to the barricades. Oh, please, these kids are more violent when their team wins a championship.
To support his argument, Maher pointed to an example that he believes shows how quickly media coverage can exaggerate events. On a college campus, a small group of students organized a protest, something that happens regularly at universities across the country. Normally, these demonstrations remain local events with limited attention. However, in this case, some media outlets quickly began presenting the protest as if it were part of a massive nationwide student uprising. Headlines suggested that campuses everywhere were erupting with demonstrations, even though the original protest involved only a small number of participants. Maher believes exaggerations like this rarely happen by accident. When a minor incident is amplified and framed as a national movement, it can create the impression that opposition is much larger than it actually is. According to him, repeatedly turning small protests or minor controversies into major national stories can distort public perception and create unnecessary alarm among viewers.
The vast majority just want to do what they went to college for in the first place, to experiment with being a lesbian. But when these kids chant, the whole world is watching, they're right. But only because you assholes with the cameras won't show anything else. Isn't there a bear in a swimming pool somewhere you should be covering?